You say yes to the meeting that doesn't matter. Yes to the favor you don't have capacity for. Yes to the invitation you know will drain you. Yes to people who wouldn't do the same for you. And you tell yourself you're being helpful, generous, a good person. But here's what's really happening. You're hemorrhaging energy. You're scattering yourself across 100 commitments that don't align with where you're trying to go. You're trading your time, your most finite resource, for the comfort of not disappointing people who'll forget about you the moment you stop being useful. That's not kindness. That's fear wearing a nice guy mask. The Stoics knew that every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the right thing, that your energy is sacred, that a man who can't say no to others can't say yes to himself. And if you want to build something real, something lasting, you need to learn the most powerful two-letter word in the English language. No, not eventually. Not when you're less busy. Now, we live in a culture that weaponizes guilt. You're told that saying no makes you selfish, difficult, not a team player. You're expected to always be available, always accommodating, always willing to help, even when helping them means abandoning yourself. And men feel this pressure acutely. You're supposed to provide, to protect, to solve problems, to show up, to never complain about being overwhelmed. You're supposed to be strong enough to carry everyone's burdens without ever acknowledging that you have a breaking point. So you say yes when you mean no. You overextend. You dilute your focus across too many things. And slowly, quietly, you realize you haven't made progress on what actually matters in months, maybe years. Because here's the thing. Nobody tells you you can't serve everyone and still serve your purpose. You can't be everywhere and still be fully anywhere. You can't say yes to everything without saying no to the life you're trying to build. Every commitment you make is an investment. Time, energy, mental bandwidth. These aren't unlimited. They're the most valuable currencies you have. And yet most people spend them like they're infinite, then wonder why they feel drained, directionless, resentful. Seneca understood this centuries ago. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You're not running out of time, you're giving it away. To people who don't value it, to obligations that don't matter, to distractions disguised as opportunities. And every time you say yes when your gut says no, you're not just losing hours, you're losing respect, theirs and yours. Because people can sense when your yes is hollow, when you're agreeing out of obligation, not genuine willingness. That creates resentment on both sides. They feel your lack of enthusiasm. You feel trapped by a commitment you never really wanted to make, but you keep doing it because saying no feels uncomfortable. Saying no risks conflict. Saying no means someone might be disappointed, might push back, might think less of you. So you choose the short-term comfort of yes and the long-term cost of a life built on other people's priorities. That ends today. Because the discipline of saying no isn't about being cold, closed off, or unhelpful. It's about being strategic, intentional, protective of the one thing no one else will protect for you, your capacity to build the life you actually want. 1. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe everyone an explanation. This is where most people fail. Someone asks for something and you know the answer should be no. But instead of saying it cleanly, you launch into justifications, excuses, a performance of how busy you are, how much you wish you could help, how terrible you feel about declining. Stop. That over-explanation, it's not politeness, it's weakness. It signals that your no is negotiable, that if they push hard enough, argue convincingly enough, you might cave. And they will push. Because most people are trained to exploit guilt. They'll frame their request as urgent, as something only you can do, as a test of your character. But a boundary isn't a debate, it's a statement. I can't commit to that. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. Done. No performance, no apology tour, no opening the door for negotiation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Your way of thinking either protects your boundaries or erodes them. If you believe you need to justify every no, you'll always be defending yourself. But if you understand that your time belongs to you first, saying no becomes simple, not easy. Simple, because yes, there will be discomfort. People might be surprised, even offended. Let them. Their reaction is their responsibility, not yours. You're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Every yes to them is a no to you. Here's the math nobody teaches you. You have roughly 16 waking hours a day, maybe less if you're not sleeping enough because you're overcommitted. Every hour you give away is an hour you can't reclaim. It's not coming back. You don't get a refund. So when you say yes to that extra project, that pointless meeting, that obligation that makes your stomach tighten, you're simultaneously saying no to something else. No to the deep work that actually moves your goals forward. No to the rest your body needs. No to the relationship that's been neglected. No to the creative project sitting unfinished. No to yourself. Most people never connect these dots. They think each yes exists in isolation, but everything is connected. Your energy is a closed system. Pour it here and it's not available there. Epictetus taught, if you wish to be free, desire nothing and no one that is not within your control. Your schedule is within your control. Your commitments are within your control. Your boundaries are within your control. Unless you give that control away, and that's what chronic yes-saying does. It hands your life to other people and calls it generosity. Real generosity is selective. It's strategic. You help where you can make genuine impact, where your skills matter, where the relationship is reciprocal, but you're not a 24/7 resource center for anyone with a request. Because when you say yes to everything, your yes means nothing. You dilute yourself. You become spread so thin that you're not fully present anywhere, not excellent anywhere, just exhausted everywhere. 3. Your discomfort isn't the enemy. The reason most people struggle with no is simple. It feels bad in the moment. Someone asks, you want to help. You don't want to seem difficult or unavailable. You don't want the awkwardness. So you say yes and trade 5 seconds of discomfort for 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks of regret. But discomfort isn't the enemy. Misplaced obligation is. Saying no will feel uncomfortable at first. Your nervous system isn't used to it. You'll feel the pull to explain, to soften, to take it back. That's normal. That's the old pattern trying to reassert itself. Don't obey it. Sit with the discomfort. Let the silence land. Let them process their disappointment without you rushing to fix it. Because the discomfort is temporary. The freedom on the other side is permanent. Carl Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Growing into someone with strong boundaries requires confronting the part of you that's been people-pleasing for years, the part that measures your worth by how accommodating you are, the part that believes being liked is more important than being respected. That part will resist. It will tell you that saying no makes you selfish, that you're letting people down, that you're not the person you think you are. But here's the truth. Saying no to the wrong things doesn't make you selfish. It makes you focused. Saying no to people who drain you doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. Saying no to obligations that don't serve your path doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person with a path. And that distinction matters, because the people worth keeping in your life will respect your boundaries. They won't guilt trip you. They won't take it personally. They'll understand that your time is valuable, and your no means your yes actually means something. The people who react poorly to your boundaries, they were never respecting you anyway. They were just enjoying your compliance. 4. Boundaries create respect, not distance. Here's the paradox. When you start saying no, something unexpected happens. You don't lose respect, you gain it, because people instinctively value what's scarce. When you're always available, always agreeable, always willing to bend, you become background noise. Taken for granted, expected to show up without appreciation. But when your time is clearly bounded, when your yes is earned rather than assumed, people pay attention. They value the access they have. They respect the fact that you don't just scatter yourself to please everyone. This isn't manipulation, it's reality. Think about the people you respect most. Chances are they're not the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones with clear priorities, strong boundaries, and the courage to protect what matters to them. You respect them precisely because they respect themselves. Aristotle observed, "The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living differ from the dead." The man who's educated in boundary setting lives differently. He moves with intention. He doesn't apologize for his focus. He doesn't allow his schedule to be hijacked by the urgent but unimportant. And people notice. Not consciously, always, but they feel it. This person is different. This person values their time. This person won't be manipulated by guilt or pressure. That's not distance. That's dignity. And dignity commands respect in a way that endless availability never will. 5. Guard the gate, not the castle. Most people think they need to defend every no with an elaborate explanation. They think boundaries require justification, evidence, a case to be made. That's backwards. You don't need to defend your boundaries. You need to establish them clearly and enforce them consistently. Think of your time and energy as a castle. Most people try to guard the castle itself, managing every intrusion, fighting off every request individually, exhausting themselves in constant defense. But the wise man guards the gate. He decides what gets in before it becomes an issue. He creates systems, not just responses. This means setting clear expectations up front, not being vague about availability, then resenting people for assuming you're free. Being explicit, I'm available for calls on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. I don't check email after 6 p.m. I take on one new project per quarter. Having default responses. You don't need to craft a new rejection every time. Have language ready. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm at capacity. That doesn't align with my current priorities. I'm not the right fit for that. Protecting your creative time. Block it out like an appointment. Treat it as non-negotiable, because if you don't protect your deep work time, everything else will eat it alive. Seneca warned, "We are tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers." Guard the gate. Make it clear what gets through and what doesn't. And once you've established that, you'll spend far less energy defending individual decisions because the system does the work for you. 6. Strategic generosity beats scattered helpfulness. Saying no doesn't mean you never help anyone. It means you help intentionally. There's a difference between being generous and being a doormat. Generosity chooses where to give. A doormat just lies there and lets everyone walk on it. Strategic generosity asks, is this person someone I want to invest in? Do I have genuine capacity to help without resentment? Does this align with my values and goals? Will this create something meaningful or just fill time? When the answer to those questions is yes, you give fully, not out of obligation, out of genuine desire to contribute. And that makes your help more valuable, more impactful, more memorable. But when the answers are no, or even I'm not sure, you decline, cleanly, without guilt, because scattered helpfulness helps no one well. You end up half present in a dozen commitments, doing mediocre work because you don't have the bandwidth to do it right. That's not service. That's just activity. Plato said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power." Your power is your time, your energy, your focus. How you allocate those resources reveals everything about who you are and who you're becoming. The disciplined man doesn't say yes to be liked. He says yes when it matters, when it aligns, when he can genuinely deliver value. The rest, he lets go without apology. That focus, that refusal to be everything to everyone, is what allows him to be something significant to someone. 7. Practice makes boundaries permanent. You won't get this right immediately. The first few times you say no, it'll feel wrong, stilted, maybe even harsh. That's fine. You're rewiring decades of conditioning. Start small. Practice on low-stakes situations. The acquaintance asking for a favor you don't want to do. The newsletter you never read but feel obligated to stay subscribed to. The social event you attend out of duty, not desire. Say no. Watch what happens, which most of the time is nothing. The world doesn't end. People adjust. Life continues. And you just reclaim time and energy that was being wasted. Each successful no builds evidence, proof that your boundaries are survivable, that the discomfort is temporary, but the freedom is real, that you can be kind and firm at the same time. Over weeks and months, saying no becomes less effortful. Your nervous system learns that this is safe, that protecting your energy doesn't make you a bad person, that boundaries aren't walls, they're standards, and eventually, you won't need to think about it. It becomes instinct. Someone makes a request. You check in with yourself. Does this serve me? Does this align? Do I have capacity? If the answer's no, you say so, immediately, clearly, without drama. That's mastery, not never feeling the pull to people please, but recognizing it, naming it, and choosing differently anyway. So what does life look like when you've mastered the discipline of saying no? It looks like space, margin, room to breathe. Your calendar isn't a Tetris game of back-to-back obligations. You have time for deep work, time to think, time to rest without guilt, time to invest in relationships that actually matter. You're not exhausted by Sunday night, dreading the week ahead. You're energized because you're working on things that align with your purpose, because you're not wasting energy on things that don't. People stop asking you for things that aren't in your wheelhouse. Not because you're unapproachable, but because you've trained them to understand that your yes means something. That when you commit fully, that your time isn't negotiable. And here's what surprises most people. You actually become more helpful, not to more people, but to the right people. Because when you're not spread thin, you can give real value, real attention, real expertise. Your relationships deepen, not because you're always available, but because when you are available, you're fully present, not checking your phone, not mentally juggling 5 other commitments, actually there. That presence, it's rare, it's valuable, it's what people remember. But let's address the fear directly. What if saying no costs you opportunities? It will, sometimes, but those aren't the opportunities that were meant for you anyway. The right opportunities, the ones that align with your path, don't require you to abandon yourself to pursue them. They don't demand that you be available 24/7 or that you sacrifice your boundaries to prove your worth. The right opportunities respect your focus. They value the fact that you're not scattered. They want someone who knows what they're about and protects their capacity to deliver excellence. And those are the only opportunities worth saying yes to. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." You're not living when you're constantly reacting to other people's agendas, when your days are dictated by whoever asked loudest or guilted hardest, when you're too drained to pursue what actually matters because you've given everything away to things that don't. That's not life. That's servitude disguised as accommodation. Real life begins when you draw the line, when you say, this far and no further, when you protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Here's your assignment for the next 7 days. Say no to 3 things. 3 requests, invitations, obligations that don't serve your priorities. Not cruel no's, not creating unnecessary conflict, just clean, clear boundaries. I appreciate the invite, but I'm not available. That's not something I can commit to right now. I need to pass on this one. Don't over-explain. Don't apologize profusely. Don't leave the door open for negotiation. Just say no and let it land. Then notice what happens. Notice if the discomfort is as bad as you feared. Notice if people actually respect you less, or if they just adjust and move on. Notice how much energy you reclaim when you're not carrying obligations you never wanted in the first place. And then, with that reclaimed energy, choose one thing to say yes to, something that actually matters, something you've been putting off because you didn't have capacity. Build that instead, because every no to the wrong thing is a yes to the right thing. Every boundary you hold is energy preserved for what you're actually here to build. Every moment you protect is a moment you get back to invest in becoming who you're meant to be. The Stoics lived by this. They protected their time like it was the only thing that mattered, because it is. Your move. Stay focused. Stay grounded. And remember, the quiet work you do today is shaping the strength they'll never see coming.